What's up everyone, I'm A1 Bliss, and today I'll be attempting to survive 100 days in one of Minecraft's hardest mod packs. I'll be surviving against massive dragons that can burn everything into the ground, hordes of zombies that can kill even the strongest of players, Christ, even huge snowstorms that can pick you up from the ground and destroy your base in an instant. Can I survive all this as well as making sure I don't freeze to death? Well, watch the full video to find out as I explore new lands, defeat epic bosses, and if you guys want to know the start of these 100 days, I have a short 3-minute video as a teaser on my channel, so watch that if you want to get caught up. Anyway guys, I'll stop the waiting, I hope you enjoy the video and I'll see you in the next one. Day 5, I woke up to monsters trying to get my autograph, but as I won't subscribe to A1 Bliss to show them who the alpha was and killed them, suddenly a creep was knocking on my door trying to give me a hug, but then exploded because I had more aura than him. Afterwards, I started building a base, as I didn't want to get swarmed again by 20 zombies at once and get my ass pounded. While building the zombie-proof ultra mega survival base, a zombie jump scared me and made me shit my pants, so I decided to send him 5 meters in the ground where he could think about what he had done. I decided to go to sleep as I knew I had to finish the base soon. Day 6, I woke up to my screen shaking again. I peed myself a little, but nonetheless had to continue with my day. My goal was to have the base all laid out, but my building skills are shit and I had to make multiple changes because it wasn't telling all the haters that I'm Sigma. After what felt like an eternity, the base was coming together. I proceeded to look for sand so I could make windows, however, like the relationship with my girlfriend, it was non-existent and I couldn't find anything. Eventually, I found a small patch under the ice and grabbed a few blocks. Crossing my fingers, I had enough. I continued to build throughout the night until I heard the voices in my head again and they were making my screen shake, and at this point it was really starting to piss me off. But I decided to go to sleep as I didn't want to chance anything, and that was the end of day 6. Day 7, I was tired of having my balls frozen like ice cubes, so I knew that today was going to be the day I finished my house. Remember, it's about survival in this mod, so I was eager to finish the base as quickly as I could, and the first thing I did was to chop down as many trees as I could before I started dying from frostbite. When I got home, it turns out it doesn't make much of a difference as I died again from the cold. After getting my items back, I crafted myself some leaf armor, which I didn't even know was a thing in this mod. However, it gives me a cooling effect which was better than my normal iron armor, and gave me a slight better chance at survival. As the day went on, I managed to finish the base, and for the first time ever in this mod, I was able to unclench my arse as I knew I was safe and nothing could get to me. However, I knew I had a lot to go in order to conquer this frozen wasteland, and as night turned, I made sure everything was blocked off and went to sleep, ending day 7. Day 8, I wanted to make a change to the inside of the base, so I was able to store more of my loot, and plus it was keeping me busy, so I had an excuse not to go out and explore. I wanted to add detail to the inside as well to add enough room for chests, as I knew in the days to come I was going to get loaded with items from exploring. I then found a zombie hiding under my base, trying to live rent free. However, I couldn't let that slide, so after he killed me and tried to take what wasn't his, I made sure to send him his eviction notice and killed him. At the end of the day, I was happy with the inside of it, and it would be ideal for the next following days as I got stronger. Day 9, I wanted to start building a wall around my base, so I didn't get jumped by any more zombies. However, when gathering the materials, I got bombarded by a zombie that apparently had speed 10 and killed me. After showing him who's boss and moving respawn, I started gathering some defrosted cobblestone for the wall. As it was still a blizzard, there was no point exploring when after 2 minutes of being outside I started freezing. So I was trying to keep myself busy and make some needed upgrades for the base. After a full day of getting my feet frozen, the wall was done. After looking at my masterpiece, I got heavily attacked by a zombie and died. I peed myself a little and had a minor heart attack. However, I showed that green urchin who was the god and killed him, making sure he told his friends that I was a unit at Survival Minecraft. Day 10, I was determined to start exploring, however after being outside for less than a minute, my balls started freezing, so I had to head back into the safety of my house so I didn't freeze to death. However, I knew I had to make a change, so I decided to head into the mine so I could potentially get some better armor and tools. As I descended down into the mines, I came across a cave base, which had a ring of withering that gave me the ability to give enemies a withered effect, as well as a few iron tools and armor. As I continued to explore, I came across this huge cave with loads of ores that could make me stronger. However, I later decided to go back up into the base so I could properly prepare myself as well as free up my inventory space because your mom had filled it with a junk. And that was the end of day 10. Day 11, I went back into the mines feeling more prepared and ready to face the threats that awaited me. When trolling down into the mines, I had a notification that a zombie horde was starting. I immediately shitted myself as I didn't know whether they could follow me into the cave, and for the entire mining session I was petrified. The silence in the cave made it so much worse with my arse so clenched I think I pulled a muscle. However, nothing happened and it was a successful mining session and I was able to collect a whole load of new blocks that could help me in the future. Day 12, I finally found a way up to the surface and started to explore. I found a frog village and decided to take everything in sight as well as finding a throwable sword that can hit enemies from a distance. I thought it was cool, so I swapped it for my diamond sword, and after a bit I came across another village and found a bestiary. I didn't know what it was, so I took it, just like I took everything else in the village, making sure I took their entire life savings because I'm the god and they're not. After a bit, I decided to head back home as I didn't want another zombie horde to start and I wasn't in the safety of my base. And after trying to get back to the base, the cold was starting to get worse and the sun was steadily setting. So I was determined to head back home as fast as I possibly could. And I'm glad. While I was smelting my new wards as well as making my new silver armor, a psychotic bear spawned and was near my base. I finally found out what was making my screen shake, and it was that abomination of an animal stalking me wherever I went. I decided to stay up the entire night as I didn't want to get bummed by the bear while I was sleeping. I blocked off the door with cobblestone even though that wouldn't make much of a difference, however that was the end of day 12. Day 13 I decided to go check if the bear was still stalking me, because if he wanted an autograph he could have just asked. By the time I got to his location the bear had disappeared, however I was able to get a bear claw which I kept until I knew what to do with it. Afterwards, I went back into the mines to try and see if I can get myself a full set of silver armor and tools, as it gives me the ability to deal more damage on undead mobs. However, while exploring and mining resources, I came across a zombie playing the violin, and a horde of zombies following him. After accidentally releasing my sleep button, I fell and crapped myself. I was able to get back up into safety, however later died by a creeper who jump scared me while I was trying to get home. After putting on a new clean pair of pants, I went back and retrieved my items. I was able to find a lush cave as well as finding a skeleton party that I wasn't even invited to. After slaying them and swiping away my tears, I came across a trial chamber, which I decided to leave and come back when I was more powerful. Day 14, I was able to get back to my base, and after sorting out my inventory and smelting all my new ores, I decided to craft a water canteen, as well as upgrading my bestiary. Therefore, I could learn more about this mod, and I found out I could tame a dragon. And after that news, I was determined to kill and tame the most powerful dragon in the game. However, I knew I was far from ready. I also found out I had a stone that could revive my tames if they had died, but as I've got no tames or friends, it was useless to me. However, I made sure to keep it as it could be important for me later on. Day 15, I needed food. I knew I couldn't keep eating scraps, so I decided to start work on a farm. For now, the farm was going to be small but efficient and was going to feed me for the next couple of days to come. While I started building, I died 3 times to the cold throughout the day, and it made me want to jump off a bridge, but we can't do that because how can you guys get this video? Anyway, as the night turned, I was happy with the progress and I was excited to see how my base was turning out to be. Day 16, I went straight back to work on the farm. I was able to finish the walls as well as die again to the cold, which was making me have brain bleeds. But I was really happy with the look I was going for and I wanted to make sure everything I built was protected. However, I did come to terms with that if a dragon ever decided to fly over me and try to kill me, he would burn everything I had built because everything is made out of wood. And after that unsettling thought, I was able to plant 1 wheat seed and killed a buck, which gave me some meat and a deer antler, which was cool. As night came, I rushed home and I was eager to finish the farm and finally eat some food. Day 17, I got some sand so I could make windows for the build, just so it could look that extra bit fancy. And then I started to build a cobblestone roof. My goal for these 100 days is survival, so this cobblestone abomination will have to do. I tried to tame an otter and make it my friend, but as I've got no friends, it took my food and ran away. Anyway, you never guess what happened next. I died again to the cold, and at this point it was a joke. However, after sorting through my items and to see what I could craft to help me with the cold, I ended up finding and crafting my favourite weapon, and this is a diamond hammer. It's able to break a 3x3 block radius, and that made me very happy. I also changed the torches in my base for lanterns, just so again it could be that extra bit fancy. However, that was the end of day 17 and everything was coming together. Day 18, I wanted to get a full suit of wool armor so I could stop dying to the cold. As I set out, I came across a huge lush cave as well as finding out you can level up in this mod and get points whenever you unlock a certain achievement. When travelling, I encountered a mass gathering of sheep and I made sure to kill every last one of them as their lives didn't matter and mine did. Afterwards, I came across a graveyard and ended up finding a chest. But before I could loot the chest, I got bombarded by ghosts. However, my primal instincts kicked in and I ran, but ended up dying by a ghost. After smashing my desk and wishing I'd never played this mod, I decided to head back and try and retrieve my items. As I was travelling, the cold started to kill me and I hoped to God I didn't die. As I got to my items, it was dark and pitch black, and I was praying that I could make it back alive. After 1v1ing the ghost and winning by pure luck, I ran as fast as I could, however died as my hunger bowl was near empty and then got obliterated by a zombie. I decided to sleep as it would be way easier to retrieve my items in the morning. Day 19, I went straight back out to get my items, and as it was morning, I wasn't worried about getting mauled by any more monsters. As I got back to my dead body, I felt at ease. However, my luck would be that I died on the way home from the pissing cold. However, as I died a minute away from the base, I wasn't bothered. Getting my items back and returning home, I made sure to sort my inventory out and make myself 2 pieces of wool armor. This wasn't enough, but it would have to do. And then me thinking I was unkillable, I decided to head over to the nether with the obsidian I'd obtained on day 1. But I immediately started overheating and died from piglins. I got humbled. However, at least I knew how much harder this game was going to get, because I love crying myself to sleep every night. As the day went on, night was slowly coming and a zombie horde started, With my newly acquired wool armor, I thought I was a god, however I later got obliterated, as well as a zombie blowing up my base, and I watched as all my hard work was being destroyed, and then later died and respawning thousands of blocks away from my base as my bed got destroyed. After rage quitting and having a hissy fit, I went back on and tried to get back, but later died again. Afterwards, I decided to wait until morning and loot for some items around me because I had nothing else better to do. Day 20, I would like to say that I accomplished something, however the entire day was spent running back to my base and rebuilding my house. I was overwhelmed by how powerful the monsters are in this mod compared to the normal vanilla version. And after sorting out my inventory, I decided that I was going to kill every last zombie in the game as my villain arc had begun and no one would destroy Cassiter A1 Bliss and get away with it. Day 21. I didn't want to get jumped again, so I started to build a second layer onto the base. I wanted to be able to attack the horde or any other monsters from a safe distance, and plus, the next time I get pounded it's going to be by your mom. I wanted to make sure I had an area where I could be safe no matter who attacked me, and I also added trapdoors as a window so I could be able to shoot out of them with my bow, as well as look around the base at night. I wasn't able to finish the build, however I was certain that I would be more prepared the next time a horde came. Day 22. After building for most of the morning, I'd run out of materials, so I had to start gathering more wood, but not as much wood as your mom was getting last night. Anyway, I started cutting down every tree in sight and found an invisible saber-tooth, which made me shit myself. But then I killed him because I have no care for any creature in this world. After gathering all the resources I needed, I went straight back at it, building the second floor, and I wanted it to look fairly decent. However, the build ended up looking like my toilet after eating a curry, and just screamed out no aura. I don't care, and now you're going to see this build for the rest of the video. After building all throughout the day, night came, I wasn't happy with the windows, so I just put a random block in, hoping it would spice it up a bit. Afterwards, I saw a zombie through the window, and this zombie was the most juiced up, thickest boy I'd ever seen, and it took me a whole 2 minutes to kill this guy. He ended up dropping me a power 1 bow as well as an enchanted iron helmet. I went to sleep afterwards, ending day 22. Day 23 and 24. I wanted to be powerful and essentially become a god, so I went down into the mines and I wasn't going to leave until I had a full suit of diamond armor. I was tired of getting swarmed as well as being one shot to most monsters in the game. I knew I had to make a change, and this was the most important one. I wanted to not only survive these 100 days, but also thrive, and I wanted to be able to show all the peasants in this world that I'm their leader. The mining session was very successful, and I got a bit carried away in the caves. However, I made sure to search every crack and inch to make sure I didn't miss one single ore. I was also preparing for doing dungeons, as my iron armor wasn't suffice, and day 19 was a reminder of how weak I am. After what seemed like an eternity down in the mines, I did end up dying. However, I wasn't bothered, as I knew I could get my stuff back. However, that didn't mean it was going to be easy. While trying to get my stuff back, I was dodging death left and right. I nearly died trying to reach my grave. However, I did end up getting back and then made my way up to the surface. Unfortunately, a horde did seem to spawn, so I was wishing that it went away. However, this game loves to torture me, so I got greeted with the yellow moon and all monsters around me. I decided to run into the closest villager hut and decided to wait out in the entire night, as I didn't fancy being dinner to a bunch of zombies. Day 25. After waiting the entire night, the zombie horde finally went, so I ran as fast as I could back to the base. When I got back, I made sure to craft myself full diamond armor and tools. However, the diamond armor does nothing against the cold, so I had to put back on my wool armor, but nonetheless, I had diamond armor ready at my disposal, waiting for when a zombie horde does come back. Later in the day, I decided to upgrade the wall, as I felt too cramped and I wanted to expand my empire. It took the rest of the day, and I made sure to add a gate, which was better than needing to leave a hole in the wall, which I did previously. However, I went to sleep, ending day 25. Day 26. Somehow, the audio for this day is broken, and don't even ask me how. Minecraft just hates me, and just wants to make my life difficult. Anyway, I woke up bored and decided to explore. With my newly acquired diamond armor, I felt like I could do anything, and I wanted to see what this mod had to offer. While exploring, I came across a village and immediately died to a dragon. After watching my death screen for 5 minutes, trying not to smash my setup, I realised that a couple of days ago I chose to add an enchant on my death key. That would allow me to teleport back to my body. And after that news, I was determined to show this dragon that I am the Ultimate Sigma and kill it. After 5 long deaths, I was able to kill the dragon and was so eager to see what different weapons I could craft. However, night turned and I quickly went to sleep, as the last thing I needed was a zombie to jump me. Day 27. No orgy again. However, after figuring out how to loot the dragon, I ended up getting dragon bones, dragon flesh and its skull. After saying my goodbyes to the villagers and saying sorry to blowing up their home, I decided to head back to the base, but not before exploring what was around me. I came across this boxy looking structure which ended up being in some sort of torture chamber. However, after looting as much as I could, I left as I wasn't looking to get swarmed by some low life, no friends monster. I passed the village and nearly had another fight with a dragon. However, I was able to get back to the base safely and I immediately tried to see what I could craft. However, I couldn't make anything as I needed wither sticks, and for that I had to head into the nether. And the last time I was in the nether, I got cooked alive, so I couldn't go back anytime soon until I had a plan on how to travel through the nether. After that unsettling news, I decided to sleep, ending day 27. Day 28. My plan was to make an enchantment room, and my idea was to make a huge tower with the setup being at the top. So I immediately got started harvesting resources and making sure I was replanting a few trees, as I've realised that I'm slowly starting to make a snow desert. After spending most of the day gathering the blocks that I needed, I found a suitable area for the build. As I started to build, a storm started rolling in, and I thought nothing of it, until it started pushing me away from the base. I panicked and tried to run back into the safety of my base. However, the storm had other intentions. I suddenly got thrown into the air, travelling hundreds of blocks up, and I couldn't even see anything. I was sat there for about 5 minutes just soaring through the sky, and then I fell plummeting to my death while my knees were being engulfed by my spine, and I died. After respawning, I saw the damage of what the storm did to my base. I immediately tried to get my items back, as well as trying to rebuild the house as fast as I could, and with my luck the night of the undead started, so I couldn't even take a break. I made sure to block off everything and just sat there as I wasn't in any shape to fight the horde. On the morning of day 29, I have some very sad news. I can't finish the full 100 days for this video. I'm not going to come out and say some lame excuse, however I will say that I physically can't finish these 100 days purely because of my setup. Before I started playing these 100 days, I had multiple warnings from CurseForge and my computer that I didn't have enough RAM to play this mod. However, after playing for the first 5 days of my previous video, my tester video, I thought nothing from it. And throughout these 28 days, I've had to put up with loads of crashes, lag spikes, as well as huge frame drops, and that's why some of the clips of these 28 days are so short. I want to publish a video of the best of my ability, and I want to make it the best I physically can do it. However, after 28 days, it gets harder and harder and harder to play the game, as more stuff's being built, as more stuff's being loaded into the game, and just because I'm getting stronger and I'm exploring more. The game isn't catching up, and it's having huge delays with me breaking blocks, placing blocks and attacking mobs, as well as anything I do. The days are also triple as long because for every 5 seconds IRL, the day goes on by 1 second. I don't want to publish a full 100 days with 70 of the days looking like dog water. I really want to finish these 100 days, but I can't. I'm really sorry that I've let you guys down, but if there's anything anyone can tell me that could make my game run faster, I would really appreciate it. I play on a budgeted laptop, and to be honest, it is really good, and I'm lucky that I've got it. However, I can't buy anything more powerful at the minute yet, as I don't have the money, and I'm a 17-year-old carpentry apprenticeship paying car insurance, rent, as well as everything that comes with being 17. Which, if you're my age, or ever been my age, you will know how expensive that is. I know I'm not the only one in my position. This isn't a feel sorry for me play. I just wanted everyone to know so you guys can understand the situation that I'm in. However, this is a pure delay, as I will continue to post videos on my channel and I will proceed to make 100 days. It's purely this mod pack I can't finish playing, as it's so huge, it can't load everything in at once without it just looking like dog water. I have tried everything I can do to make my game run faster, however nothing seems to work. I really hope you guys have enjoyed the full video, and let me know in the comments below what other mod packs you want me to play. Please smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.